Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Enhancing the Human Experience, the podcast designed to help you get the most out of life. I'm Mark Phillips, and I really want to thank you for tuning in today. So in this episode of the show, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 things I learned from Charlie Sheen about winning in the game of life. And this is going to be the first of a mini series or many shows where I share things I've learned from business people, entrepreneurs, athletes about really what it takes to win in life, because we can all learn from one another, right? And when we look at people achieving greatness and success at a high level, we can take some of the things that they've learned and some of the things that they do and really build them into our own lives. So this whole series on winning is going to be an ongoing thing. And I'm currently working on one of those shows that is what I learned from Muhammad Ali on winning in the game of life. And just to give you a little bit of a teaser, that's all about how we go into battle with our own fear, doubt, anxiety, and worry that we all face sometimes on a daily basis as we move toward our goals and dreams, as we push into our creative endeavors, right? It's really about that resistance that we all face. And I'm really excited about that show because this thing that I learned from him has helped me immensely in my own creative endeavors, and I think you're going to like it a lot. So that's coming up down the road. So just as a reminder, if you'd like to subscribe to the show or listen, you can do so on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, TuneIn, and eventually YouTube, or at my website, gmarkphillips.com. You can also subscribe to my email list there, and I'll send the shows right to your email box. So that's where you can pick up the show. Another announcement I want to make is that you probably noticed, if you've been listening to the show, that during these recently and during the initial 8 weeks here since I launched, I'm doing more than one episode a week. Eventually the show is going to be a weekly show where it's going to come out every Monday. But during these initial 8 weeks, I'm doing more than that. And if you find a show you like or realize some value from one of the shows, it would be really awesome if you would take a minute and go over to iTunes and write a review. I'd really appreciate it, and that'd be super cool. So I'll put some links and some instructions on how to do that if you haven't done that before in the show notes for this show on my website at gmarkphillips.com. And that would be really cool. So if you missed last week's show, I was talking all about the book Kid Capitalist, What Every Kid Should Know About Owning a Business by Toby Brockner. And I really like that book. Even if you're not a kid, even if you don't have kids, that's an awesome book for entrepreneurs in general. You know, he is a successful business person, entrepreneur, kind of creator, right? And he has deep knowledge into the entrepreneurial mindset and what it takes and the day-to-day activities that are required for an entrepreneur to be successful. I got so much out of that book, and that's why I was compelled to build a whole show around it and share my 5 big takeaways and also give you kind of the high-level review of the book. So if you missed that show, you can pick that up on my website or any of those venues below, because I thought it was an amazing book. So before I get into the 3 things I learned from Charlie Sheen, I just want to be clear and state that I'm not judging Charlie in any way, shape, or form, and I'm not saying whether he did these things or didn't do these things. I'll leave that for you to decide. Again, I'm just approaching it from a straight learning perspective. You know, the reality is that we're all here learning from one another, and that's how we level up our experience, right? Fortunately, as human beings, we don't have to do something in order to learn from it, right? We can see what another person's doing and how they're the results that they're getting, and we can extrapolate those to our own experience. This allows us to exponentially enhance our experience in life, right? So we don't need to do something in order to learn from it. So I just want to be really clear about that. You probably recognize some of the things that I'm talking about or whatever, but again, you judge it however you want to. So the first thing I learned from Charlie Sheen is to be humble. The fact of the matter is, sometimes in life we're going to win and sometimes we're going to lose. Look at all the champions or super successful business people in the world. Hey, sometimes things work out and sometimes they don't. The thing about life is that we're all practicing and learning, and it's it's an evolution and an experiment. We're here to try things. We're here to push boundaries. We're here to explore. And guess what? Sometimes it doesn't pay off. Sometimes it doesn't work out, right? But that's how life is. And we don't want to like penalize ourselves or other people if they do something or they push the boundaries and it doesn't work out, or quote doesn't work out, right? Again, it's how we perceive it. But speaking of the highs and lows in life, I mean, sometimes you're on top, sometimes you're down on the bottom. Sometimes you're winning, sometimes you're losing. Specifically, when we're winning, we want to remain humble to the fact that it is all a learning experiment. It is all a practice and an evolution to raise our consciousness, raise our ability to navigate life. And we don't want to get too cocky, right? Because if we have that reverence about us and in the way we approach life, it's just going to be a much nicer ride, and we're going to be able to enjoy a little more. You know, all of the greats talk about the need to build within ourselves humility. And I think it's one of the most valuable traits. And so I really try to learn to be as humble as possible and learn to exercise that humility. So that's the first thing I learned from Charlie Sheen, is to be humble. The second thing I learned from him is to be entertaining. This is huge in my opinion, from a personal standpoint and also from a business standpoint. If you're not entertaining or interesting, people are not going to want to listen to you. And if you're doing business, they may or may not want to buy your products and services because of that. Specifically, if you can't capture their attention, if you can't hold them as an audience, you're not going to be able to deliver your message, right? You're not going to be able to tell them why they should purchase your products or services from you, or why you're distinct in the marketplace. This is huge, right? I mean, look at all of the big corporations. They spend big bucks on creating almost like movie-like commercials or entertainment in order to sell you on their product. Now, I realize that sometimes the advertising engine actually overshadows the product itself, and corporations could push products that aren't necessarily the best for you, right? Best for your mind, body, and soul. But hey, they're playing the game of entertaining. And there's no reason, if you have an amazing product or service, that you can't play that same game too, right? If you can capture the hearts and minds of your prospects and your buyers, you can play their game, right? No one has the market cornered on creativity, and that's what's so awesome. Or the market cornered on entertainment. That's what's so awesome. I mean, look at the independent films that come out every year that are absolutely amazing. Low budget. I'm talking low budget compared to the $1 million films that Hollywood studios put out, and they're absolutely phenomenal, especially when you add in the notion that with the platforms and social media and tools at entrepreneurs' hands these days and creative people's hands these days, the playing field is literally leveled. So if you are entertaining, you will capture, and if you package it right, you can capture large market share above and beyond what would be normal or what would be conceived many, many years ago, right? Because we have the ability to get in front of people and entertain them in a way like none other, especially even the little guy, right? That doesn't have the big budgets and the deep pockets. So be entertaining if you're a business owner, for sure, but also in your personal life, right? If you're entertaining and interesting, you're going to have people want to hang out with you, right? It's just the way it is. People like to be entertained. So leverage that and use that. To that point, Paramahansa Yogananda, one of my favorite yogis, said that we are here to entertain and be entertained. Now that's a yogi telling us this. And when yogis talk, I take note, because yogis, just like saints and mystics and sages, they have their finger on the pulse of reality and on the pulse of the human experience, right? They have deep perception into the way life really is, much more so than myself or people that haven't dedicated their lives to understanding the nature of reality and realizing what our true purpose in life is and what we're really capable of. So again, when a yogi says that you're here to entertain and be entertained, I take a lot of note to that. I can see it coming from an executive at MGM or Sony Pictures because that's their business. That's what they do. But hey, yogis are here to find out what the real truth is. And if he's saying it, I'm going to listen. So the second thing I learned from Charlie Sheen is to be entertaining. Now, the third and final thing I learned from Charlie is to be kind to your body. And this is huge, right? Our bodies are the instrument we go through life with, right? We perceive how life is, and we perceive the presence of God within ourselves through our body, right? Through our nervous system and our mind-body relationship. So if we don't have our body tuned up with really good food for us and really good drinks for us that build our body in the best way, we're going to be at a disadvantage when we go out into the marketplace and into the world and try to win, right? Eventually, the tables will turn, and our body could not carry us around in the world anymore, or won't carry us in the best way, or won't allow us to perceive true reality. So, and I'm not the best at this. I'm not perfect in this arena, but the goal is to get better every day at this in being kind to your body and giving it the best nutrients and the best quality food and drink so that we can build it in the best way. So I think that one is huge. And I learned that from Charlie Sheen. Be kind to your body. So again, no judgment, no assessment, Charlie at all. I think he's an incredible entertainer. I love his work in 2.5 Men. I love all of his stuff. Super funny. Obviously, he wouldn't be the mega star that he is now if everyone else didn't either. So a lot of love and props going out to Charlie Sheen. I know he is fighting his own battles, just like we all have our own things we've got to deal with in life. And so big love and big props going out to Charlie Sheen, and a lot of respect. So as we wrap up here, I just want to say that again, back to this notion of, everyone is our teacher, and we can learn something from everyone, just as people can learn something from us. And I want to share this week's quote is from Ken Keyes Jr. And if you're not familiar with Ken Keyes Jr., he is a really amazing guy and an author, and he ran a personal development coaching school for many years in Oregon. Some of my favorite books from him are Handbook to Higher Consciousness and Prescriptions for Happiness. And he said this. He said, everyone and everything around you is your teacher. So that's Ken Keyes Jr. And I think it's so true, right? So that concludes the show. I want to thank you for tuning in. I know there are boatloads of podcasts to listen to out there, and it really means a lot to me that you're listening to this one. So until next time, all the best, health, wealth, and success to you. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.